Alrighty, let's get moving. We're going to do all the chicken recipes first. One little word of warning, I guess. If it looks a little smoky in here, that's because I just tried to put some chicken in to cook in my microwave for the chicken noodle soup, and my microwave started pouring smoke out the back. I'm going to take that as a sign that I need to boil my chicken on the stove and maybe get a new microwave. So I apologize if it looks a little smoky. I tried to air it out real quick, but there's still pretty smoky in here. My eyes are kind of watering. So anyway, we're going to do the chicken recipes first. We're going to start with the creamy chicken stew. Looks like this. I already have my recipe card in my bag, and I'm going to tape it onto my freezer bag. One thing I forgot to tell you in my first video, that you're going to need are measuring cups and spoons. We're gonna be using measuring cups and spoons in this recipe. So gather up your things for your creamy chicken stew. You're gonna need your Alfredo sauce mix, or your Alfredo sauce, I mean, not mix, Alfredo sauce. Your jar of Alfredo sauce, your frozen mixed vegetables, 2 cups of them, although I'm not gonna put a half a cup of vegetables or whatever that's left back in the freezer, so I'm just gonna put the whole bag in. If you're wondering why my frozen vegetables are in a bowl instead of in the bag they came in, is I'm not allowed to show labels of other food products. So things will look a little weird sometimes, that's why. Okay, so I've got my label on my bag. I'm gonna put my bag in my bowl so that I don't dump. If I move around and you can't see all of my head, I apologize. I'm pretty daggone tall, and trying to find a place and a way to sit where you can see my hands and my head at the same time is a bit of a challenge. Nobody really needs to see the rest of me anyway, so hopefully you can see enough to see what I'm doing. I'm using the prep sheet that you all got, and we are doing the at the workshop assembly. So we're going to add to this bag, we're going to put this chicken in. Oh, about the chicken. It calls for boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I had a whole bunch of boneless, skinless chicken breasts in the freezer, and I'm not a big fan of dark meat. So we're using chicken breasts. Use whatever works for your family. That's my mantra around here. Whatever works for you, you can substitute to your little heart's content. And if you don't like something, don't put it in. I won't be using mushrooms today. Because my husband absolutely despises mushrooms, and he's actually home at this time of year, so we tend to care a little bit more about what he thinks. Okay, so to the bag of chicken, we're going to add our jar of Alfredo sauce with the label ripped off. Oh my gosh, this stuff smells good. Yum, yum, yum. We are going to add to that a cup of water. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of garlic, which is this and not here. This is like a staple food at my house. If you would see our version of the food pyramid, this would appear on it. 2 teaspoons of garlic, and because, you know, I'm on camera and all, I'm actually going to measure. I wouldn't do this in real life. And 1 tablespoon of onion. Speaking of not doing in real life, a lid for any of our products, a cap of these is 2 tablespoons. So if it comes in a shaker jar, this is 2 tablespoons. So we're going to do half a shaker jar lid. Onion, this stuff is awesome. You can substitute it any place. Recipe calls for a couple tablespoons of chopped onion. You don't want to chop an onion, just put some onion in. If it calls for onion soup mix, if you've ever looked at the ingredients on onion soup mix, you'd be mortified. You can't pronounce 90% of them. So this is what I use and substitute for onion soup mix. This is one of our TS Eat Well products. If they have the green label and say TS Eat Well, it means it's a whole food product, so there's no artificial anything. You can pronounce everything on the label, I promise. Oh, my chicken's boiling over. Hang on. Yeah, nothing like real life. Okay, so To that, we are also going to add a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm not measuring the pepper either because this is the only pepper I have is right now is in this grinder thing. So I'm just going to grind in what looks like a half a tablespoon. Not tablespoon, please Lord no. Half a teaspoon of black pepper. Oh, this could be a long day. I'm sorry, people. And a half a teaspoon of dried basil. I love these little adjustable measuring spoons. I've got a measuring cup like that for dry stuff too. I love it, love it. And then our 2 cups of frozen mixed vegetables. And that, my friends, is all there is to that one. A word about if you, which I should have started with this, but if you are feeding fewer than 6 people, like if you only have 1 or 2 people at home, I usually recommend that you bag things separately. However, on the things that are crock pot meals, I don't generally do that. What I do, because it's usually just me and Larry here, what I do for crock pot meals is I go ahead and cook the whole thing, and then we eat it, and what's left I freeze, label it, and then just reheat it when we need it. It's just easier to do. It's harder to cook small amounts in the crock pot. Not all of these are crock pot meals, but most of them are, so I'm not splitting any of these. If you would like to, easy as pie to do. You just take the ingredients and separate them. Put half in one bag, half in the other bag. That's all there is to it. And they'll be fine. It's just you have to watch them a lot more when they're in the crock pot. If you have a small amount, you have to be very careful about it or it will overcook. So, especially on the crock pot stuff, I think it's easier just to make it all and then just refreeze what you don't use the first meal. Okay, this is the really hard rocket science part of all of this. It's what I call squish and seal. You're just going to mix this stuff up in the bag. You're going to make sure that you have all of the air out of the bag because you don't need to be wasting space in your freezer freezing air. Get the air out of the bag and then flatten it out and put it in your freezer like this, because once it's frozen then you can do whatever you want with it, but it takes up so much less space than if you put it in your freezer like this. This is awkward. So freeze it like that, throw that one in your freezer, and we're done. And we're going to move on to the creamy salsa chicken. So get your stuff out that you need for that, which you're going to need a can of chicken soup and your corn and black bean salsa and your chicken. Okay,